wondering if you could explain or describe discernment or wisdom. What is that? What is discernment?
Knowing the nature of things. Knowing things in their nature. That's what wisdom is. So that doesn't mean knowing about things or having all the information about the things. It's a different thing. Collecting information or retaining information, that's on the level of intelligence. And that can help if you know where to look for the nature of a present experience. Nature of feelings, nature of perception, nature of suffering, nature of things that matters. That's not necessarily determined by intelligence, but by wisdom and by effort put in that wisdom. You're not born, nobody's born with wisdom. People are born with different intelligence. But wisdom is developed through effort, restraint, calming of your mind, not giving into craving and desires. All of these are they called in the sutras the weakness of wisdom, because they all go against it. So that's basically what discernment is, knowing the nature of things.
Knowing the nature of things. So what is the nature of things?
Well, the nature of things, different things obviously are different in their nature, but most universally they do all meet in the, or rather share the same nature, which is what the Buddha was talking about. The nature of all determinations is impermanence. The nature of all determinations is suffering, and in the nature of all things, it's they cannot be owned, they cannot be yours, they don't belong to you. They're there for you, you can use them, but you're making a grave error in maintaining your assumption of ownership in regard to them. That's the root of all the problems as well. It's not the usage of things, it's the ownership that you maintain on the mental level. So that's the nature you want to be concerned about. As in, you can investigate other natures and stuff, but that's all relative. You want to come to the root of the nature of all things, which is impermanence and cannot be yours, because that's really all that matters.
Why is that wisdom?
Because that's what wisdom is. You're starting that from the wrong end, that question. You would say, how would you call knowing the nature? And I would answer, I would call it a wisdom. So you can call it whichever way you want. But you start, why is that a wisdom? Implying you already have the idea of what wisdom is, so why is that wisdom? But it's other way around. You don't have to call it wisdom, call it any other word, but it will be called like that. Why? Because it takes you beyond things. Literally takes you beyond things. You're not affected by them. You cannot be accessed by them. Why? Because you remove your ownership. If things are not yours, you won't be emotionally affected by what happens to them. And that is wisdom. That's elevation of the mind, which means a greater perspective on things, greater perspective. Because all the decisions people make in life, intelligent people and non-intelligent people, are based on the degree, the height, so to speak, of their perspective. And the height of the perspective is where wisdom is. People with greater perspective, maybe not the ultimate perspective, but with greater, they are wiser people. They might not necessarily be ultimately wise and know the way out, but they're certainly wiser in relation to those who just have no perspective, who are just like animals following senses and sense desires. So I guess that's another way you can describe wisdom. It's the height of your perspective, universally speaking.
So you can never be surprised.
Absolutely, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You lose something disappears.
Yeah. And you cannot. The greater the wisdom is, the less of an emotional involvement with things you have, which means the ultimate wisdom is complete surmounting of the feelings and suffering. Doesn't mean you're a robot. It just means you're a very wise person.